Today is Monday, the 6th of July 2026. It's a pleasant morning here at Broadcasting House. Hello and welcome to your breakfast show. Good morning, Sierra Leone. The program that starts your day with analysis and views on issues of national concern. We are your presenters. My name is Frances Bernard.
I am Sheku Smiler, and you're watching us live from a broadcasting house, New England Vale in Freetown. Now, our quote of the day is from an American entertainer, P.T. Barnum, and it says, "Fortune always favors the brave and never helps a man who does not help himself." Coming up in this edition of the program, Good Morning, Sierra, APC postpones constituency elections following PPRC consultation. Also, in this edition of the program, we'll bring you updates on the bar elections, where Civil Rights Coalition updates us on the upcoming Sierra Leone Bar Association, the Elective Congress and AGM, scheduled for August in Freetown. All these and more lined up in this edition of the program, Good Morning, Sierra Leone. You can also be part of this program by sending your text to the number you're seeing on your screen. And we are also on our social media platforms. This is Good Morning, Sierra Leone, and I am Sheku Swire.
It's Good Morning Sierra Leone live on TV, and you can be part of the program by sending your comments and views, concerns to the number on the screen, or go to our Facebook page, slbc.sl. Now we start with the program proper. The Sierra Leone Bar Association is holding its highly anticipated annual general meeting and elections from July 31st to 1st August 2026 at the Freetown International Conference Center. The primary contenders for the presidency are incumbent Tuma Adama Chentu Kamara and Martina Bendu Ibenda. A conciliation attempt has been made by the Attorney General's office as they previously stepped in to mediate the factions, although tensions and internal divisions have continued to mark the bar's internal governance leading into the 2026 elections. For voter eligibility, participation and voting rights are strictly limited to members who fully pay their conference and annual subscription fees prior to the set cut-off date. According to a notice, only members who fully paid their conference and annual subscription fees by the 29th May 2026 will be eligible to vote and contest in the elections. The contention here is if the AGM and elections were deferred to a later date, why wasn't the payment of dues dates also extended? Well, for more on this, we have in the studios the National Coordinator of the Civil Rights Coalition, Alfonso Mali, who has been very interested of following the situation. Good morning, Alfonso. Welcome to the SRBC.
Good morning, Frances and Sumela. Thanks for having me.
So, I just said that you have been very interested in this Sierra Leone Bar Association election and the whole saga. One we say, where were you when they had the issues in Kenema? We did not hear anything from you. Why only now that they are going into elections?
Yeah, thank you very much. After the elections in Kenema, we expect the executive that was elected to actually mend fences. That was supposed to be their responsibility, to ensure they all come together, they work as lawyers, because these are noble people. So that's what we expect from an executive. But if we see a situation where lawyers are complaining, the difficulty they have in submitting their payment slip at the secretariat, When they are there, the treasurer is not around. When they left, the treasurer will come to say, look at me. It's hide and seek game. Warranted us to come in to say, we want to prevent a situation that's happened in Kema not to reoccur. But we were expecting this executive to actually mend fences. There are issues in other organizations where there are elections. They will come together again, go back to the drawing board, look at issues, and make provision for future elections to be fair, credible, and transparent. And because we believe that one in Kenema falls short of that.
So you have been calling for the reopening of registration for delegates to be able to be part of the event, but the Bar Association president or the executive will say we had a period. If they were really interested, they wanted to vote for the elections, they should have done that and not wait until a new date has been announced.
So, two issues. Why postpone the election? You should have conducted the election on the very date you choose for the election.
They cited logistical issues.
So, one of the logistical issues, she said, and I heard her on one of her sister programs, saying the venue we rented for that occasion can only accommodate about 500 to 600 people. When I checked the list of payments, it's over 1,000. So ask yourself the question, don't you have database of lawyers in Sierra Leone? I always say election have 3 phases. You pay attention on the pre-election phase because this is where things are done to rig election. But let me hasty to say that this matter have gone to court. This matter have gone to court for court to make a determination on several issues. I will just go through those issues. But again, on tomorrow, the 7th of July, the matter has been assigned to Justice Aissata Selu-Toka, right? So the matter have gone to court for several determinations. One, to ensure we extend the timeline for registration. Mark you, the May 29 deadline was because the election was slated for the 5th and 6th of June. And it's no longer the case. It's now the 31st and 1st of August 2026. That's one. 2, for the court also to make a determination on the verification of voters. I told you earlier that the press release issued by the Sierra Leone Bar Association in the postponement of the election was ambiguous. If you are saying arrears, if I have paid for 2026, it's also inform me that I have arrears for 2022 or 2023. So when you publish the list, people will look at the list to say, I have paid, I have not seen my name there. You say, no, you have to pay arrears. Then we'll make good those payments. But if you wait a day for election, it will create some kind of chaos, and we want to prevent that. Another thing, they're asking for an independent person or committee to conduct this election.
So why are they doing that? Is that part of the M&A?
Now, M&A will not tell you that you do ABCD for elections. You, as executive, should provide guidance, rules for the conduct of election. If you read the M&A, there is nowhere in the M&A you say that on May 29th is the cut-off date for payment.
No,
that has to be determined.
Calling on an independent body to conduct the elections. That's what I'm asking about, because the last time they had their elections, I heard them saying that if they are in the elections or the most senior lawyer is supposed to conduct the election, why are they going for a change this time around? So, is that not the rules of the elections? So
after the 2023 elections, because of the issues the opposition raised, when the moral guarantor came, and even within Sierra Leone, people are saying there is need for electoral reforms. We are doing them. Some from the PPRC, ECSL, even within political parties.
So do you think it should
be
the
because
same in
exactly when you had an election that ended up in chaos, what you do as an executive is to ensure you prevent it from further happening. So they should make internal rules and regulations to prevent what happened in Kenema. They never did. I told you that you should have a database of lawyers. We have over 3,000 lawyers, and if you secure a venue for over 500 people, that tells you these are my people. The other one, enough for can vote.
But let us talk about the M&A because it's very important. The memorandum of association, which tells you, how you should operate, as an association. What are the guides, the rules? But the thing is that the incumbent argues, but in fact, according to the M&A, they have the right, to expand their tenure, or to extend their tenure to, for a period of 6 months.
No fee.
Oh, 3 months, 90 days, 90 days,
yes.
Now, is that automatic in a way? Because now, what they are banking on is that the MIA has given them the authority to extend, the period in office, as an association. It is automatic that because the M&A says, if things are not as stable as expected, you should go ahead and expand or extend your tenure for a period of 3 months. Is that automatic, or there should be something or things that would have spoken to whatever decision?
Firstly, I go back to the letter written by the Attorney General, who is the tutelar head of the bar. In the letter written by the Attorney General to the Sierra Leone Bar Association addressed to the President, it stated that the purpose of this letter is based on legality and not on procedure. This your postponement can be interpreted as cancellation because there was no date. So I also want to reiterate that internal rules for election cannot be seen within the M&A, but there will be provision in the M&A for executive to create rules and regulations to take them to an AGM. I'll tell you, if you go to the M&A, there is nowhere it is written in the M&A that May 29 should be the cutoff date for election. There is nowhere it is written in the M&A that July 1st and July 31st and August. No, there is nowhere. You create those rules. So to promote inclusive election, to promote transparency, unity, credibility, right? Because you are responsible for the rule of law, you are responsible for access to justice. It is what fits. Because we have taken note of what happened in Kenema, the sharp division. We came in to say, okay, we want lawyers to come together. It resonates with what the public is saying.
According to
so we are saying once you extended that period, you should also readjust for others to register.
Now,
according
to the executive, that is in power right now, for those who have not paid before the deadline, which is May, will not be allowed to vote.
And that is a tactic they are using to disenfranchise their colleagues' lawyers. And we are saying no to that. That is a tactic being used to disenfranchise their colleague lawyers. It is deliberate. Because I will argue it out in court that you wanted only 500 people to vote. Because these are the people you recognize as lawyers. The mere fact you secure a venue that can only accommodate less than 600 people, and we have over 3,000 lawyers, tells you want only certain sets of people to go and vote, and which is not correct. No, we can argue that.
So in other words, are you suggesting that it is a deliberate effort or attempt to disenfranchise?
It is deliberate.
Certain people.
It is deliberate. This is why I also said election have 3 phases. You pay attention to pre-election. This is where the groundwork is set to rig an election. Ensure people.
Elections are not won on polling days.
No.
Elections
so this is why we are paying attention to pre-election activities. One, lawyers have complained using this very channel, SLBC, to say when we are at the secretariat, the treasurer is not there. When we are out of the secretariat, the treasurer will carry the booklet phone. Look me over there. As if it's in an hide and seek game.
So it was deliberate.
It is deliberate. So we are saying to prevent all of this and to prevent chaos. 1. Publish delegate list. Extend the payment time. Ensure the election is being conducted by somebody who is independent. Very simple.
Now, according to the bar,
very simple.
According to this current executive, only members who fully paid their conference and annual subscription fees by the 29th of May 2026 will be eligible to vote and contest in the election.
And this is why this is being challenged in the courts of law.
And even with the skirmishes at the treasurer's office, so this happened after May. May.
So this is why I'm saying it's a deliberate point to rig this election, and we are saying no to that. Hey, this election must be free, fair, transparent, credible, all inclusive. Right.
But what if all of those you mentioned, all of those,
So firstly,
all of this, all of what probably is expected of a credible, transparent, and reliable election, you mentioned, if some of these things, you know,
Well,
are not followed.
when it falls short, I believe it's a legal profession made up of credible lawyers. They will take the matter to court for the court to have a determination on the conduct of that election. So to prevent this is why we are saying, let's have a fair play, level playing field.
Okay.
Level playing field. Because the catch of the issue, you rented or secure a venue for only 500 people, and you know the profession, you have over 3,000 lawyers, and all of them are members of the Bar Association.
Alright, okay, Alfonso.
So which means you don't want to cater for them.
Come back to you. He is Alfonso Manley, the Executive Director and Civil Rights Coalition, Sierra Leone. And the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from a broadcasting house, New Englandville in Freetown. Now, the main opposition, All People's Congress APC, has deferred its constituency elections, originally scheduled for Saturday, July 4, 2026, to Saturday, July 11, 2026. According to the party, the postponement follows a consultative meeting with the Political Parties Regulation Commission (PPRC) and a subsequent advisory note issued by the Commission on July 2nd, 2026. In a public notice, APC National Secretary General Lansana Dumuya Esquire said the adjustment does not weaken the party's commitment to internal democracy, but rather enforces its resolve to conduct credible and inclusive elections. The party explained that the brief postponement is necessary to conclude internal consultations and administrative processes ahead of the polls. For an update on the new dates, a letter by Honorable Osman Timbu to the IEMC requesting practice direction on the treatment of unopposed candidates and consultations with the PPRC. We have in the studios the Secretary of the Interim Elections Management Committee, IEMC of the APC, DB Fona, and also here is the outreach coordinator, PPRC, and he's Eugene Momo. Good morning, Eugene, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, SLBC. Good morning to viewers.
Now, were you part of this? In the first place, did you give your approval, for this latest postponement of constituency election by the main opposition APC? Is that to your no, or in your no?
Okay.
Did you give your approval?
So let me give a background. Section 12(2)(e) of the Political Parties Act number 25 of 2022 states that when we notice any issue within a political party, it's our mandate to reach out to that political party and try to settle their dispute. So now, in the area of the advice you just laid out, on Thursday in the morning, we had an engagement with the leadership of the All People's Congress and also organs within the political party. Organs, I mean the IECB, responsible to handle all elections related matters, and also the IEMC, the organ responsible to conduct the elections. So we had an engagement with them. So the reason for this engagement, the commission, we received a lot of complaints or objections, as you want to put it, in relation to the constituency election slated for this past Saturday, it's on the 4th. So with these concerns, we decided to have an engagement where we furnished the leadership of the party with these concerns we received. And some of the concerns we received from members of the party are one, the area of delegate list. They've already conducted the ward elections, and the delegates from that election, those that won those elections, are to vote in the constituency election. So we received a number of petitions, objections in relation to those lists. Members of the party allege that those lists have been tampered with. They've removed names that should be in that list, replacing them with different individuals. So we receive that complaint. Also, the area of venue change. Ideally, those constituency elections should be conducted in constituency headquarter towns, but they've been moved, as alleged by members of the party, that to unknown location. So for that reason, we engage the leadership of the party. We advise them, not a directive. We advise the leadership to postpone, to defer the election from the 4th to the 11th July, so the party can have ample time to look at these issues. One, it will provide the leadership of the party sufficient opportunity or organs within the party to settle this dispute in a fair and a transparent manner. Also, it will provide full compliance to the APC constitution, the rules and regulations, and the Political Parties Act. And also,
did you verify those claims? Now, one of those claims, a very huge one, is that changing of venues, where such elections are supposed to take place. You mean, you spoke about the constituency headquarters, yeah? And now you decided to take them somewhere. Did you verify to ascertain?
So based on those concerns, we see that the reason why we engaged the leadership of the party to see how they can settle these allegations. That was the reason why we called them to the engagement. Also, the reason also for this engagement is to allow the party to strengthen the trust on organs responsible to conduct the elections, and also to strengthen the democratic process in the election. So, because these concerns may have a serious effect on the party. One, concerns like these, will come back to the party in the form of petition after the constituency election that will probably lead to cancellation of those elections, and we all know what it takes to conduct elections. It involves a lot of money. So for that reason, we have to engage the leadership to defer the election date from the 4th to the 11th, so they will have ample time to address all these concerns we received from members of the party. So at the end of the day, they will go into the constituency election.
But that decision you took as PPRC, how was it received by the aggrieved parties and even the APC as a party?
It's an advice, and
yeah.
So the leadership, they've accepted the advice we gave. The Omnibus Congress, have been listening to the PPRC in terms of the area of directives, of advice. So yes, the leadership of the party accepted the advice we gave to the party. So for that's the reason why they deferred the election from the 4th to the 11th of July, so they can have ample time to address all the concerns.
Eugene, taking into consideration that the current executive of the APC has a timeline, as you advised before now, that they should be work within that time, and time is not in their favor. They have been, this is not the first time this election has been postponed. Are you considering that, and do you also make provision for an extension of their time, since some of these concerns are coming from their members and you as the regulatory body are actually advising them on how to go about it?
Well, time is an important variable.
Definitely.
In this, and as the old adage say, you need plenty on top loss. So in the directives we gave to the party in February, where we extended the term of the executive to 6 months, and that 6 months will lapse in August. So in that directive, there is also a caveat in the case where this current executive, is unable to take the party to their convention, the National Delegate Convention. The leadership in Parliament of the People's Congress, will take charge of the party with support from honourable members from each of the region. They will take the party forward in an event this current executive fails to take the party to the national.
But what if probably they go back to you and say, because of some reasons, give us more time?
No,
for us, because now you've given them 6 months for them to put their house in order. But now, because of how things are emerging, it seems as though the delays are causing certain actions to be taken. So now, what if they go back to you and say, okay, because of ABC and D, we need more time for us to prepare well?
So the directives we gave to the party is clear. And besides Section 39 of the PPRC Act state that the party cannot go beyond 6 months. in extending an event where the lifespan of the executive, it's over. So you can't extend beyond 6 months. And,
All right.
and already the executive already.
But what if they
extend.
have?
So
but
our directives in February, it's right, it's clear. And the moment you fail to take the party to national delegate
So
conference,
what
the
if
leadership in
what
parliament,
if they have strong reasons?
but the directive is clear, whether you have reasons
All right,
or
Eugene,
whether strong
continue-
reasons, the
continue
leadership in parliament to take the party, further in an event. This
Continue
current
to-
executive fails to take the party to national delegate conference.
Continue to stay with us, Eugene. He is Senior Public Education Officer, PPRC, and he is Eugene Momo. Well, we have in the studios with us the Secretary of the General Elections Management Committee of the APC, David Fona. Good morning, Mr. Fona. Welcome to the SLBC.
Yeah, good morning, SLBC. Good morning, members of the All People's Congress.
So you've kindly listened to the staff of the PPRC talking about some of the things that the reason why they asked, they met with you guys so that you'll be able to sort yourself out, and at the end of the day you do the correct thing. How prepared are you that the new dates that you've given will not go, the elections will not go beyond that date?
I sit here as the secretary to the Internal Elections Management Committee, the body empowered to conduct the elections. But I share the approval of the National Secretariat of the party, taking into account the advisory note that they received from the PPRC. However, I just want to appeal to the PPRC. As you rightly put it to the PPRC representative on the timeliness of our activities, it is our appeal that the PPRC see how best they can handle the issues before them, especially those that have to do with petitions, so that they handle them, in time, because they are the judges in this circumstance.
Is that one of the reasons why you keep sending your elections back?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
Okay.
Because shortly we scheduled our elections for the 4th, and after consultation between the PPRC and the leadership, all of us agreed to push the elections on the basis that the PPRC would have to look into certain issues. And I'm saying here that we just want to appeal to the PPRC as a party to hasten in making the decisions relating to these contentious issues before them, because they, as the judge, a matter that certain judges could take a year looking into, some other judges would just take a few time to look at and take a decision, and the decision will be binding and applicable to all. So that's my specific appeal I want to
The
make
allegations,
to the PPRC.
the allegations are huge. According to what Mr. Momo from PPRC has said, some of the petitioners are alleging, but the delegates list, they are tampered with, that they saw names that they're not supposed to be there. As an independent elections management committee, how do you see this? And if that kind of thing is happening now, at the lower level election, what level, some of these issues did come up. And now again, going for the constituency level elections, the same issue has resurfaced. So how do you react to allegations of, some people wanting to manipulate delegate lists, and names that are supposed to be there announcing? How, as independent body, how do you react to some of these claims?
As a body responsible for the conduct of elections, what we want to see is a fair process, and that is why, in fact, we are in support of the fact that these issues are looked into by the PPRC. And in fact, beside the PPRC, as a party, we have an avenue where we look at similar issues. We are aware of the fact that we have a number of petitions before the PPRC, but we are also aware of the fact that some of these petitions or issues are just frivolous. For those frivolous ones, we are appealing to the PPIC to just get rid of them as quickly as possible so that they don't barely waste our time in the corridors of the PPIC. And for those genuine ones, we are really in support of that.
Okay, quickly, before coming back to you, let's come to Mr. Momo. Now, the Secretary to the Independent Elections Management Committee of the APC says that some of the accusations or allegations are frivolous. You know, they do not have any, they are not they are not proven. You know, is that the case? How many cases, how many petition cases you've dismissed?
And how long are you going to wait to decide on them? Because they are also concerned with time.
Well, we are not responsible for the delay of elections of any political party, whether it's APC or any other political party. So what we do is we work according to the law. What the law says is whenever they conduct elections, because we see political parties as institutions and institutions that are functional. So when they conduct these elections, they have organs within the party. So first what you do, you exhaust the organs within your party to see how they can address your concerns. They have the IECB that look at related elections matter. So in an event you are not satisfied with the outcome of the ruling or decision of the IECB, then you can come with the petition.
No, what you're asking
So
here,
now
no,
it's
I think-
the
I
ones,
think
that,
now-
the ones
now,
you
what
have
was
in
it?
front of you. That's what we are talking about.
So it's the right of the member of any political party, if you feel aggrieved with the decision of the party, to come to the PPIC. Now, the concerns we have in front of us in relation to the constituency election, we've already called someone the executive. So it's the responsibility of the leadership of the party to address the issue before them.
Now the thing is,
we've
now
already
it's-
furnished them with the
now-
concerns or objections
Now,
we have in relation to tamper delegately.
Mr. Momo,
Change of elections,
the story,
so it's a
now,
responsibility,
the story
yes.
has developed.
Mhm.
This is a developing story. Now, the Secretary says that some of the allegations or accusations are frivolous.
Well,
You understand? So now the question is, how many of those petitions or those claims you've dismissed?
Well, we receive a handful of the petitions now. The ones we receive now going to the constituency elections, and it's not in a place to say whether they are frivolous or not. It's a right as members of the party to. We have the right now to look at these concerns, objections, and decide whether they
So
are
the
frivolous
question
or
is,
not.
when are you going to start looking?
We've
into
already
this?
started the process. We had an engagement
How
with the
long
leadership,
will
with the
it
leadership of the. So it's up to the leadership now to address the concerns we've already furnished them with. It's not in the hands of PPIC. It's in the hands of now with the leadership of the party to address
yes,
the concerns
exactly.
we've received. That's the reason why we engage them in a meeting.
No, yes, sir. And
So they can
Mr.
formally address
Mr. Fona,
these
now,
concerns.
Mr. Momo argues that what they do is what is in front of them, and they are going according to the laws. But now he is saying that it is very premature for you to describe the allegations or claims by petitioners as frivolous.
We are saying they are frivolous because they have been found to be so by our internal mechanism that looked into those, issues, i.e. the Internal Elections Complaint Board. There are rulings to the effect that are proven that they are just frivolous, and the same people will go again to the PPIC, bringing up the same issues which the IECB had already dealt with. I know it is the procedure and it is acceptable for them to go. What we are just continue to appeal to the PPIC is that let them see how best they can manage the time in looking into some of these petitions that are coming up to them as appeals.
Now, Mr. Fona, do you see your party or your delegate conference, being organized by an interim body? Now, according to Eugene, if the time they've given you, the 6 months period they've given to you, for you to put your house in order, if that particular period elapses, it is a parliamentary committee, probably headed by the leader of opposition, that is going to be in charge to conduct or to organize that delegates conference. Now, do you see yourself going into that conference with an interim, body instead of the current executive, because of all the exigencies you're talking about?
Yeah, in fact, there has been a ruling already on that, taking into account the fact that if the 6 months extension elapses, it is that interim body along with the IMC that are going to take up the party's election processes towards the National Delegates Conference. However, we'll cross that bridge when we reach it. But we are still with the body, the national leadership that is superintending these activities. And they are engaging the PPRC to see how best they can continue to do their work and to deliver on it.
All right, thank you very much. He is the Secretary of the Internal Elections Management Committee of the APC, and he is David Fona. This is Good Morning Sierra Leone, and keep staying with us. We'll come back to you after this break. It's now time for us to watch after our health, and in today's health tips, we take a look at hypothyroidism diet. If you have hypothyroidism, you understand the importance of food and how it affects your energy levels. Some foods help boost thyroid hormone production, while others disrupt the effectiveness of medication treatment. We explain how an overall balanced diet helps shape the ability to keep your thyroid healthy and functioning. Take a look at this video and learn from it.
Your thyroid secretes certain hormones that impact your ability to transform food into energy. But when you have hypothyroidism or an underactive thyroid, your metabolism slows down, causing low energy levels, weight gain, and other symptoms. Food can't cure hypothyroidism on its own, but what you eat has a direct impact on the health of your thyroid and your body's ability to absorb medications needed for treatment. The two most important nutrients for thyroid health are selenium and iodine. Selenium keeps your thyroid at peak performance. It helps synthesize and activates your thyroid hormones. You can find it in many foods, including Brazil nuts, beans and lentils, turkey, and chicken. Iodine helps with hormone production and is found naturally in the soil and the ocean. You can get it from foods like seafood, dairy products, cruciferous vegetables, and soy-based foods. Eggs offer a 2-for-1 deal containing both selenium and iodine. Overall, you can get both of these nutrients simply by eating a well-balanced, healthy diet, like the Mediterranean diet that focuses on lean proteins, whole grains, and an abundance of fruits and vegetables. Still, too much of a good thing can sometimes cause complications. Since they can block absorption, avoid eating soy-based foods like tofu for a few hours before and after taking certain thyroid medications. Raw cruciferous vegetables like broccoli or Brussels sprouts can also decrease iodine absorption, so while they're a great source of the nutrient, it might be better to eat them cooked on a more regular basis. Other things to avoid include excessive yuca or cassava, which can slow down thyroid hormone production, and thyroid supplements, unless otherwise recommended by your doctors, should also be avoided. By taking the right amounts of medications in the appropriate way and focusing on the overall health and quality of the foods you eat, you can give your thyroid the boost it needs to keep your body healthy and energized.
You learned a lot from those health tips, because it is really essential for us to know what to do and what not to do to keep us healthy. The things that we must do and the things that we mustn't do to ensure that we are healthy at all times. However, we continue with the program, and we still have in the studios Alfonso Manley. Alfonso is the executive director of the Civil Rights Coalition. Now, he has been behind this bar association elections since the saga started. But then somebody may want to ask, Alfonso, you are in education. You've been in civil activism for long. Why the interest in the bar elections? Why the interest?
I've just told you the importance of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. It's a very, very important institution. They are critical, and institution that has to do with the rule of law and access to justice, where there are issues, of governance, transparency, accountability. There is need for us to come in, and this is why we came in, and this is why we're getting the results we now have.
But then do you think your intervention has created an impact? Because it seems as though the stalemate continues.
Firstly, it was because of our intervention when we raised critical issue. The executive itself thought that no, this election should be deferred. Because put it to them, you secure a venue for just 500 people, and when you checked, over 1,000 lawyers have paid.
But we now have a situation wherein, dozens, if not hundreds, of legal professionals in this country are going to be likely disenfranchised.
And this is
that is the situation as it stands right now.
So this is where we are saying no to this, and this is why we are pushing, and this is why the matter have been taken to the courts to make a determination.
But then it is in court, so we don't prejudice.
Exactly.
Yes, it is in court. But then what do you expect? Because at the end of the day, this election is going to it is going to run into August, because it starts in July. I think the 31st of July
to the
1st of August.
Yes.
So which means time is not in your favor as a campaigner, because you've been in this campaign for credible by-elections since we started hearing since the Holabalu. But then, do you think at the end of the day you'll be able to really achieve what you've been fighting for?
Well, the answer is 100% yes. I'm confident in the sense that the list will be published. All lawyers who are willing to vote will take part in that election, and those elections will be free, fair, transparent, and credible. We want to assure lawyers of that. We want to assure the public. Anything below that, it will be challenged in a competent court of law.
But then now this particular case is in the High Court. It's in the High Court.
Yes.
Yeah. So what if the High Court rules and the Bar Association decides to challenge that decision in the Superior Court? It means the delays. There is going to be delay, and that will not be helpful. In this process.
So let's wait for that appropriate time. We'll address it.
All right, thank you very much, Alfonso Mali. Continue to stay with us in the program. He is Alfonso Mali, and he is here to talk on a free and fair bar election. And now we go to another issue. Healthcare Resources Hub helps improve health outcomes by empowering individuals and communities with health information, preventive education, and access to healthcare resources. The consultancy provides community health education and awareness programs, promotes disease prevention, and organizes health campaigns, workshops, seminars, and outreach events, among others. Well, for more on this, we have Mary Ibrahim Salu. Good morning, Madam Salu. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Madam Presenter. As she previously said, my name is Mary Ibrahim Salu, and I'm the founder for IE's Healthcare Resource Hub. And I'm here today to discuss about the activities we're doing, especially when it comes to healthcare issues. Actually, I was previously working for the most advanced medical diagnostic center, which is ECOMED. I did a lot of healthcare activities there, like community engagement, issues like cancer, mental health, diagnosis, etc. Had a lot of engagements with stakeholders, building partnership with organization companies, etc. So decided to work on my own to use the working experience I've had, because I've worked within the healthcare system for quite a long time. And I was out of the country. I went to do my master's in public health, and now I'm here. I want to see how best I can be able to utilize myself on ground, even though I'm not so proud of my country for several reasons. Because one of my services I'm offering is focusing on mental health and emotional health, considering the fact that we're having an alarming case of the misuse of substance, especially the kush, and we're having several calls from the international body about drugs, cocaine, and all of the things. These are all public health issues, and I actually want to see how best I can be able to work on ground and have work with schools, NGOs, businesses, health facility clinics on some of this issue, because not only on public health, but I have several other different issues like cancer, planning, public health communications, etc. I have an issue personally with my country, and I can always say I'm not so proud of my country, because most of the people here, we are living in illusion. We tend more to give our support and focus on people who are quietly destroying us. Quite recently, we had the news about our president, which I'm not so favorable of him. Several allegations have been coming up about him and his family involving in cocaine activities.
The president, you said you just had what?
I said I had about the president's family involving, like they said, his daughter having someone who is leading.
So,
cocaine.
madam,
Those are allegations.
I said, yeah, they are allegations.
Those are
They are allegations. But it's
now,
sensitive. You know what I'm saying? Sensitive.
Now the thing is,
It's not what I'm saying. Sensitive.
no, if it is not written, it doesn't exist. Now, the fact that
it's sensitive.
the fact that you are saying it is an allegation,
So
let it remain an allegation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Until it is proven otherwise.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what is on the ground. What is on the ground? We have a lot of young people dying on the streets. We are currently having rehabilitation centers built for young people. They are going through the process of having mental breakdown, etc., and all of this thing. And quite recently, also, we are also having issues that people are trying to trace a lot drug. These are all sensitive issues with regard to public
So let's talk
health
about the
issues.
services you offer in your
Okay.
health center.
The services I offer in my health issues are community engagement strategy, public health planning, communication planning, and cancer prevention, mental health education, environmental health awareness, social media health campaign, health equity outreach workshop, facilitation and training, proposal writing and grant support, stakeholder engagement, and partnership building.
Oh, so let me ask you,
Yeah.
the things that you are offering, they are too big. Do you really
Yeah,
have
they are all
a
parts of.
focus
Yeah, I have a focus.
to do whatever you want to do and to deliver? Because it seems as though you have a whole lot of
Yeah, I
things
have
from
a-
social media handles, from public health, from workshop, from training. What is your main focus?
These are all effective public health communication means, and they are all my focus because they are all focusing on public health. So these are all activities.
Do you have
focusing on-
funding for them?
Well, funding for them depends on the organization and business I'm working for. So I'm working on contractual basis. You contract me, we have an agreement on working, and then we move ahead and work.
Now you've mentioned a lot of things,
Yeah, a lot of things.
social
Social
issues.
media.
Now
Yeah.
we know that Sierra Leone is faced with numerous social challenges.
Of course.
That one is palpable. Everybody sees it.
Yeah, you see it, but we have to.
You cannot do it alone. You need partnership.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm talking about the activities I'm doing, and I'm talking about the reality on ground. I'm not talking about anything illusion, trying to make everything like everything is good or everything is going on well. No, I'm talking about reality, what is happening, and I'm talking about how some of my services can help.
But
With
then
regard to community,
how affordable are your services?
it's not about affordability, it's about contractual basis.
All right.
Contractual basis means you have a particular organization, schools or business or community, and you actually have a particular target, healthcare issue or public health issue that you want it to be done. And you contact me, we speak, we negotiate, and then we try to see how best we can move forward.
All right, thank you very much. Continue to stay with us in the program. I think if you really want people to know about it, you go to the commercial department, you pay them, and then they will do a lot of advertisement for you, whether at the SLBC or any other media house. We still have with us in the studios Eugene Momo from the PPRC and that of Mr. Fona from the APC, and he is the Secretary General, the Secretary of the Internal Elections Management Committee of the APC. So, Eugene, Mr. Fona was just saying that most of the issues taken to the ECS, to the PPRC, have already been resolved in their party, and these same people will come back to the PPRC just to delay the process of the activities of the APC. How do you engage with the leadership? Because you have systems that you just said it before now, that the first point of call if they have grievances is the party structures. You go through the party structures, and if they fail to address some of these issues, you then come to the APC and to the PPRC. If they are saying some of these issues have been resolved, and then the same people are coming back to the ECSA, is that not a duplication of?
Well, like I said earlier, our operations revolves around the law. So in our past rulings.
But is it true that some of these issues have already been resolved in the party before coming back to the PPRC?
The IECB looked at this issue. So, like I was saying earlier, you can see evidence in our past rulings in relation to the just concluded ward elections. Matters that were before the IECB, that they later brought to the commission. At the end of the day, our rulings state otherwise. In relation, for example, areas that the IECB mentioned that those areas are okay, they can go forward. But after more deliberation by the PPRC, look at evidence before the commission, engage the leadership of the party, some of those decisions were later overturned. Although some we maintained already what the IECB have already ruled, but some again we overturned those decisions. So that tells you that we ensure that the process within political parties are transparent and fair, and also we give the right opportunities to members of every political party, not just the APC, to bring forward concerns.
Eugene, thank you so much. And that we are now in the calendar for elections are already here. So it's like you'll be engaged, frequently to update us on issues relating to the operations of the PPRC. Now, Mr. Fona, quickly. Now, where do you stand as a party? Usually, do you think you've done enough to ensure that those elections are held in a tranquil manner, in a transparent and credible manner, as scheduled after this engagement with PPRC?
All we are waiting is the quick conclusion of these petitions at the PPRC. Thereafter, the party is well set to move on with the elections on Saturday, 11th.
All right, okay. Now, your members, you have an internal, redress mechanism, by way of settling your intra-party issues. Now, the PPRC says they only act on what is brought before them. And in fact, they also advise individuals to go first to the party to exhaust the internal, redress mechanism structures before even coming to them. But then, within the party, how best do you do? How much do you do to ensure that some of these issues do not get to the PPRC in the first place?
Yeah, first of all, the party has really established that body to look into, those issues relating to elections procedures or the elections themselves, how they are conducted. And normally when they sit on such issues, they call all of the parties and listen to them. They seek for evidence, they seek for explanations, and it is upon those hearings that they take decision. And I think sometimes after they would have appeared before the IECB, the same people on whom decisions have been taken by the IECB will run again to the PPRC.
So are you suggesting that some of them are disingenuous?
Oh yes, certainly. In fact, I am looking forward to a day in which the PPRC will confer, that right, that whichever decision the IECB are taken at the party level, being the constituent body responsible for that, let it be final.
Okay.
Let it don't have a new room for explanation. At the PPRC, they are going there as appeals, but we are very much concerned with the time which the appeals take, and we have a time to accomplish in this process.
And you don't want your delegates conference to be overseen by an interim body.
No, I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to the fact that the party ought to work within the times which it has prescribed through the constitution, and we want the PPRC to see our best in their own way to expedite that.
All right,
okay,
thank you very much. We'll come back to you,
Time
but we
is
still
not
have I-May with us in the studios. So now, some of these services that you are saying that you offer, how do you, now you're saying you want to give a service to your nation, you want to give back to the country of your birth.
Not only the country, I want to give back to everyone, whether you're a Sierra Leonean or not, I want to give back to everyone.
So how do you help the communities without them paying for your services?
Well, for now,
You are not a charity organization.
no, for now.
All right, okay,
But
let us go through the
like,
papers quickly.
I have something else where I connect young people with opportunities and resources to help build them individually, like having access to some of these different opportunities and all to enhance them.
Okay,
so that is free.
Thank you so much, Aisel.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we hope you have a good time in what you do. Now, quickly, let us go through the papers, and I'll start with the Echo newspaper, which says President Bill must resign. Here they are quoting JFK. SNPP flag bearer raise JOB list. These are some of the stories you can see in the Echo newspaper.
From the Echo, we go to the Awareness Times newspaper. At the African Political Alliance Conference in Togo, ECOWAS chair calls for end to all raw exports. Airport security fees suspended as authorities review collection system. These and more you'll find in the Awareness Times.
Now from there, I move on to the Calabash. The Calabash says investigation reveals airport fee suspension may trigger costly contract dispute and renewed focus on missing 5K collections.
And my next paper is the Independent Observer. Independent Observer. BO calls for national unity, urges Sierra Leoneans to reject tribalism. These and more you'll find in the Independent.
Well, from there, my final paper here is the Standard Times. And the Standard Times says President Bill rejects Narco State narrative. This story and more you can see in the Standard Times newspaper.
And our final paper for today is the Satellite newspaper. Satellite newspaper, as Internal Affairs Ministry institutes administrative measures, government suspends airport tax. These and more you find in the Satellite newspaper, and many more interesting sports stories you find in this paper. But this is how we end today's program for Good Morning Sierra Leone. Many thanks to our producer Daphne Zainab Kamara for putting the program together, and to our guests Mr. Fona from the APC, Eugene from the PPRC, and Madam Selu from Health Hub. These and more we say goodbye. My name is Francis Van. I do have a lovely and wonderful day. Good morning.
And I am Sheku Smila saying goodbye and have a pleasant day. Good morning. Sierra Leone returns tomorrow. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Inkulenu palm soup base. It's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Inkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Inkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available brown gold natural cocoa powder, sunny gold brown sugar, neat fufu flour, shito, pisa and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Inkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.